What's up? Let's begin course 2. In this course, we're going to go over how to build a Faucet app and an airdrop tool. So you can think of this as an extension of course 1 in that we're going to work on build some tools to distribute the token. People can self-service collect it using the Faucet, or you can use the batch airdrop to send it out to multiple people. So for the Faucet, we're going to have some sort of rate limiting mechanism, because on one hand, you don't want people just the first person to get all the tokens, and the first person to be able to claim them all, and you also don't want it to be like needlessly difficult to get them. So finding some sort of middle ground is useful. Also, it's worth noting that this is going to build onto your existing token. So the Faucet and airdrop you build will just work for your own token. You could extend it for more, but the way I'll be showing it, it'll just be built to specifically support your token. We're going to do a React app again for the front end, so we can copy paste a lot of the stuff we built in the first tutorial. You can see them both up here. So we won't have to do too much change there. All right, let's get started without further ado. All right, so I think the easiest way to probably do this is just copy paste your React app. So we'll just call this Faucet. All right. Okay, so we have the Faucet app set up. So let's go to let's go to here. Change this to Faucet. All the dependencies will remain the same. And then we will also edit this a little bit. Actually, we can probably just build upon the original app. I don't think we really need to change it that much. So we have the app running here. Well, we don't have it running yet. Let's restart. So we copied the whole app, and we just changed its name. That's really all we did. And look at that. It's that easy. Now we got another app. So the one thing is, they're both set to use the default port 5173 for Vite. So we gotta probably adjust that. So let's give them a default order so they don't have to fight all the time. So this one will be 5174, and we'll go back to, this is the original. Okay, this is going to be 5173 is the original app, and Faucet will be, I give them the wrong name. Okay, so this one's going to be my token, and Faucet will be Faucet 5174. All right, so we'll restart them, and now we'll see that my token will be 5173, Faucet will be 5174. Great. All right, so let's open it up. You can control click it to do that. All right, so now we have the app that we built from the last experiment, or last course, whatever you want to call it. And here it is. So let's make a new tab for Faucet. Okay. All right, so we're going to go back to Vibecoding. So when you're working with an existing project and you're, using AI-assisted coding, it's very important to load it up with information so it can get off to a good start. You don't really want to, you want to have it kind of load up its context with important information. So we'll just start by saying we're continuing work on a existing project. Please see or just look at Faucet for more info. We are going to be extending the app to add a faucet feature where users can claim tokens and we are also going to add some batch transfer functionality as well. Please first review the code and then let's create a plan to develop a mock UI for the airdrop and faucet features. All right, plan mode on, go. Now it's going to read up. So this is a good point where, so it's going to come up with a plan for the faucet, but we are also going to come up with a plan. I have some ideas, mind. So one way I like to handle faucets is using the stacks block height, you know, because every few seconds the stacks block height increases, and you know, like you can use that incremental change to effectively be a rate limiter. So one simple way is just have the deployment block height be 0, and then users can claim equal to the current block height. So immediately it'll be 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this token has 0 decimals. So each block is, you know, counts for a decimal or counts for a full token. The only downside to that is if that's like their allocation to claim, there's no real incentive to claim until the tokens are nearly depleted in the faucet. So we might want to adjust that a little bit. All right, faucet. So it wants to update this, but like we said before, we're not going to change this. We're going to make a new contract with new functions. So that's the first thing I'll make note of. try that. I'm already thinking, all right, well, while it does this, we can start getting our new contract set up. So go to source, clarity. We'll create token utils. All right, look, it has some cool ideas. All right, 5 rate limiting strategies to use stacks block height. Mechanism, using claim once per day. Okay, this is inaccurate because it's a Bitcoin block, not stacks block, but whatever. Consecutive claim streaks unlock higher rewards. That's cool. All right. I like that. So when you follow this tutorial, you can actually ask it the same question and do any of the things you want. You don't need to follow the way I'm doing it. You'll just need to debug it properly because we can scaffold this contract, but it's not going to work. You know, it's not going to work the first time the code that it generates. It's going to need some edits. All right, so this next is activity-based multipliers. Claim every 48 hours. Recent on-chain activity increases reward. It's going to be a little tough because we're not going to be able to track this on-chain. Using a standard kind of traditional stack smart contract. You could do this with an intent-based protocol, but it's going to be very difficult. Like it's difficult to get this all on-chain because we can't look up like number of transactions by directly on-chain. Only if transaction activity is tracked by other protocols could we use that. All right, block participation rewards mechanism. Claims tied to network participation windows. Interesting loyalty points. We could use something theoretically like experience, which is counted as a loyalty point. This is another one that's network activity based. All right, so I like progressive daily rewards, the streak aspect. I think that's pretty good. All right, so I'll just let it know. I like option 1. Let's separate the Faucet and batch transfer contracts since they are to keep them decoupled. So another thing with smart contracts is you don't really want to couple logic together that doesn't need to be coupled. So for instance, this Faucet functionality and the batch transfer functionality doesn't need to be together. For instance, we didn't even need to, some people put the batch transfer functionality into the token contract, which is fine. It's logically very similar, but you don't actually have to. And that rule applies to all contracts. Like the only stuff you should include in a contract is code that you can't actually include later. Like for instance, tokens. If I wanted to have mint or burn functionality, that's something you got to include in the base contract because you can't call like FT mint or FT burn externally. It has to be in the contract. But everything else, you can. So like if that's something you want to decide later and you're not sure, you can expose it with like a protected endpoint, you know, something that has to be called from another contract. And that's possible, but let's review this now. 2 separate contracts for clean separated concerns. Okay, faucet, batch. So let's change this to token faucet. And then we'll create a new one. Batch. Token, batch, transfer. Just call it. Yeah, token batch transfer. All right. Progressive daily rewards, streak-based reward system. All right, so it's using 144 blocks. It's 24 hours. Let's just update that. Let it know that. All right. I think that's accurate. I think there are about 5 seconds now. Let's see who else is in this thing. Well, thanks. Send up to 50 recipients per transaction. We could probably do up to 200 different amounts per recipient. Interesting. Yeah, we can handle that gas optimization. All right, let's. Okay. Let's. Okay. Yeah, I'm just letting it know to only focus on the front end. Because like before, we're going to do front end first. Because the front end will inform how the back end has to work. One more thing. Okay. All right, so I'm just trying to get the timing right because we don't want this to take like 10 years and we also don't want it to take like 10 days. And I think realistically, like 10 people using it is probably optimistic. You know. So whatever it gives me, I'm probably just going to actually... Let's Okay, so it started. I'm going to briefly pause it and take a quick break while it thinks through this stuff. I'm back, and I changed my hat. All right, let's see what happened since I was away. All right, so utility functions for formatting. Updated navigation includes a faucet and batch transfer pages. Okay, I added those. Then create batch transfer component. All right, so sometimes it wants to test. So I would stop the app and say, just let it do its thing. You can also just say no and then tell it to continue. But, you know, there's some benefit in letting it run. It might pick up some linting errors or something. Also, I'm not sure about it, but maybe it works more smoothly if you don't interrupt its flow. Not sure. It's a bit of a black box, bit of magic. But better safe than sorry. So it's thinking. So you can see it added this faucet and transfer tab here. I can't click on it because the app's... Actually, the app is running, so let's see. Whoa, look at that. It's so colorful. That's fun. So you can tell this UI is mocked up. It's showing these consecutive streak things. Does this work? Yeah, that works. All right, at least that stays wired up. That's nice. Another problem with running dev is it sort of just doesn't really know when to stop. It sort of just times out. So you might not want to wait. You might want to just run it yourself and look for your own errors and then tell it to fix the ones that are problematic. So here it's showing a remaining. And the way we're going to do this is just have, so the way I'm thinking this is going to work is we're going to transfer 9 billion tokens, because as the deployer, you got all of them. So you'll transfer 9 billion, which is 90% of them, to the contract, the Faucet contract itself, where the only way they can come out is the Faucet contract releases them. And we can get this remaining number by having the contract look at its own balance. So get balance of itself. Okay. And here is the streak reward progression information, which is nice to see. It's building a success modal for the Faucet claims. This is looking good so far. What's this thing? Faucet please in 30 teams. I guess that's going to have to be an average. It's not an exact. Can't know for sure. All right, this is cool. It's going to have some global analytics. So this analytics, a lot of this stuff is going to have to be stored off-chain. So we're going to get into the Stacks blockchain API to make that work. All right, it's done. I've done some of it. All right, so it's saying 12 to 18 days. I don't think it's going to happen that fast. 10 people is optimistic. I think for most of these tutorials, you're going to deploy it. And like most things I built on Stacks, not many people are going to pay attention. But with the enhanced rate, it should be fun. Plus, if you claim them all yourself, you can always send them back to the contract and run it again. So it can repeat. All right. It has a lot of new UI. That's going to make this really nice and a good UX. Good user experience. That's what UX stands for. UI is user interface. UX is user experience. All right. That's great. So we can do a little better and refactor this a little bit. But we need to update. So we have, okay, so before we made this faucet and that, what happened to this function? Why is this gone? Oh, it's still there. Okay, that's good. All right, we're not going to refactor yet. We're going to just work on this UI. So, okay, so I pressed it, and now it's giving us a timer. This is great. All right, yeah, everything's updating in real time. That's great. Let's check out this. kind of weird, kind of glitchy. Well, let's fix that, I suppose. So now we're doing like fine grain edits and tweaks to make it nice. Template. What is template? Oh, I set up the server. Maybe that's part why these aren't working. Yeah, I need this seem to do anything. Okay. So far, so good. So what I want to do is all this fake data that's coming from, that it needs to populate this UI, I want to attach it to the actual wrapper we're going to use, because that way, when it's time to write the contract, the AI will have more information. It'll know basically what it needs to do. So let's stub this out. We don't know what it's going to be called yet, but we'll call it TBB Faucet and TBB Batch Transfer. Just create the class and have the functions return the dummy data we are using on the app UI for now. Still no real on-chain integration yet. I think this one is important enough we should plan it. All right, this one's looking good. So it's going to look a lot like this, except instead of actually doing these and these, it's going to just return constant data. All right, let's see what it has for a plan. All right, TPD Faucet claim info. All right. Total supply distributed. Remaining. Daily target, estimated days remaining percentage. All right, reward tier. Okay. Seems good. All right, I just need to let it know. All right. Looks good. Let's run with it. So this way of creating a wrapper for each contract is a new approach, and adding in this analytics to it, like like having a function on the class, on the wrapper class for the analytics is new, but I'm liking it so far. I think it's a cool concept. Normally I would put all my analytics in some sort of decoupled library, but I'm actually really like the idea of coupling it with the contract itself. The only downside is, like, I was saying and thinking that these would be never changing. So there is the chance if you're adding analytics, you could introduce a bug to the contract. So I'll have to think that through. Maybe it makes sense to have like a different one. But the thing is, we're not going to change this tropical blue bonobo one, which is the original one. So, you know, if we're adding analytics to some new thing, that would be to some new thing. And then maybe once we're done, like that doesn't change. And then it ossifies in a sense, which just means like no changes, no risk of new bugs. I don't know. I like trying new approaches, seeing what works better, what works worse, and then adjusting my approaches based on that. You know, you can never improve unless you try new things and evaluate them. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so it made the faucet. Very excited. Excuse me. Is valid stacks address tropical blue bonobo. Not really sure if that exports that. It seems to have this is valid stacks address, but it doesn't exist in there. Pretty sure there is a validator exported from the stacks transactions library, so I'll take a look at that. All right, so let's look at what it made. Faucet claim info, claim analytics basically. Reward tier, claim result. Oops, what happened there? Oh, I had a new chat. Let's get rid of that. All right, so mock stats. Now I believe it's updating the app to use the mock data from the contract wrappers. That's good. Let's. All right, so I guess that's it. Interesting. I didn't know it was a parse read-only response. This may only work for... It may only work for contracts, not smart contracts. Like addresses, I mean. This may just pop the response off it. Nifty. Well, we can always modify this in our little isValidStackStress thing. All right, let's see how it's doing here. It's thinking. So the one problem I'm foreseeing is, since this is a React app, we don't have a backend to work with. Normally when you're doing analytics stuff, like all this information, it's going to require some Hero API, Hero blockchain API contract calls, and typically you need an API key to use that because, you do more than just a handful and you hit the API limit. So we're going to need to also cache all of this information. Because otherwise it's going to quickly hit the limit and just not work. So I should tell it to add a caching layer to this too. This one doesn't need it because it's just a public function. This one will though. All right, what? That seems reasonable. Okay. It's not getting any errors. That's a good sign. So it's doing different cache TTLs. Some data expires quickly. Some data can be static for a long time. Interesting. Use token contract must be used within a contract provider. Is it not? It should be. Maybe it isn't. It's not. Yeah, we're using... This can't be in here. So the way context providers work in React is if you're including this, basically there's this wrapper here. And that means everything inside app content can use the use token contract hook that matches with this, but it can't be in the same component that's doing. So this we can use maybe, let's see, app main TSX. I think we just got to put it here. That might just solve things. Does that just fix it? It does seem to just fix it. Nice. Okay, good. Ooh, we even have a quick action. It's kind of fun. All right. So this section seems a little empty, and we now have like analytics from the claiming the faucet. So let's add some of those faucet analytics to the main page, main section. Oh yeah, it added some stuff to this. Oh, patch transfer. Let's see what's going on here. Interesting. It opened it in another window, but basically it's just showing a dummy data in there. It's not doesn't match up what's actually on the recipients tab. So we could probably fix that. All right, and this is doing that. So that's nice too. Actually, we can test this out. So I'll click that. So I saved the template of the CSV here. And look at that, it works. It's pretty nifty. Yeah. Pretty cool. What happens when I click this? Nice. That's a fake transaction ID, so it doesn't matter. Nifty. All right, so this is done now. All right, so let's make this update at the analytics. Also, I don't like this white space. We want this, let's see what it's calling it. I guess it's calling this the hero component. Let's make sure that's right. It does seem to be the hero component. No, it's the main content token info card. Okay. But it figured that much out on its own. Yeah, when I'm not sure what component, but I wanted to make sure it references the right one, I'll do that thing where I like paste in some text that's visible on it, because that helps it track it down, especially when it's like hard-coded text, because it can easily match, like find by a string. But if you have a comment in here, like where it names it, you can use that. Oh, it got rid of the other token analytics. We don't want that. I'm gonna split it up. Feels a little busy, unfocused. Ooh, a little alert. That's fun. I think it would look better if it was a full-length banner, though. I want to give this like a sideways scrolling marquee sort of thing where it's like, you know, give the page some motion. Some That's nice. All right, it gets the marquee vibe going on. This is fun. I just don't like the constant text. It's a little too busy. All right, that's looking good. All right, cool. I'm digging it. I'm thinking this is pretty good for a front-end mock-up. Except, ooh, what is that? I think this claim from Faucet. I just think, the whole point of a quick action is supposed to be quick. Shouldn't have to load this page. The batch transfer makes sense because there's stuff to do there. Is there toast in this app? When did they get here? Yeah, I want the same UX on both. Currently, this one has a underwhelming little thing. It does seem to trigger the, you know, the claim state together, but that's nice. I noticed this little animation has this little like tokens falling out of it. There, those T things. Be nice if they use the tokens image, which is just purple. But I mean, if anyone wants to use their own image, it would look really cool if they fell out of it. So, that's nice. All right, I think we're almost done here. We're about an hour, 10 minutes in. And we have a pretty solid UI for the faucet and the batch transfer features. So, I think we're about to start. Interesting. Gotta figure that one out. I don't know what it did, but it didn't seem to work. Wonder where that is. This one is. Returns a void. I don't know if there's a void. I mean, this isn't even really calling anything here. So I'm a little confused. Okay, well that's working now. It seems to be fixed now, so I might just cancel this thing in a second. Now it's taking them out entirely. Gotta be honest, I don't really know. Handle check balance. Oh, I see. It only needs this one because there's a quick action that actually does a navigation. But can't we just use like React Router navigate or something? Okay, we have to install rec router DOM. That's okay though. It's gonna fail though because it needs to. I don't think this is gonna work because it's a turbo project, so it needs to add it to the app specifically. What's it adding it to? Hopefully not this. Okay, I think maybe it's already CD'd in that directory. Take a look. Record, I'm good. Okay, nice. Oh, look at that. It's all cleaned up now. Setting this, but we don't actually need it. It's already here. See, it figured it out on its own. If I removed it, it would have got confused. And we don't want that. Alright, let's let it do its thing. So it gets that completion feeling. Also, there is something to be said about letting the AI verify its own results. Ooh, our purple tokens. Lovely. Okay, when it's done this, we're going to end this video and shift over and begin the contract development aspect of it. While I wait, I'll do a lint, quick lint. Yes, yes, you may. In fact, I'll join you. Oh man, I had mute on this whole time. Oh well. Well. Let's see. What do I recap? Yeah, I've just been doing like lots of cleanup work and optimizing of things. The most recent thing I did was move this cache that was in memory before to local storage, so that when you do a hard refresh, you don't get. So, if the cache expires, you'll get these requests, but if I do it again, you won't get them because it's now cached. All right. Let's also move cache to local storage for TBB Faucet. All right. I like that it has a nice mobile menu. Pretty nice. Excellent. Okay, I think we're about done here. I'm not really sure if there's anything else that could be done to improve this. Seems pretty good to me. Pretty happy with this. Okay. I think it's time to move on to the next video, which will be the contract writing. And so this time we're actually going to write the contract from scratch. Before I had a pre-built, I wrote it ahead of time, just sort of described it. This time we're going to do a write from scratch. All right, let's get into it. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.